Good morning and welcome to our webcast, What's New in the EMS Platform Winter 2017 Release. I'm Larry Goldman, Director of Product Marketing, and joining me today are Thomas Allen, our Senior Product Manager, and Matt James, Product Manager, and Harleen Stevenson, also Product Manager. We got a great group today. We have a lot to talk about, some very exciting things in the Winter 2017 release. First of all, it always helps to go over the housekeeping very quickly. You have all been muted. We're using a new program this time, but it really operates the same way as always. There's a Q&A box you'll see there. There's also a chat box, but in the Q&A box at any time as we're going along, please put in your questions. We expect this to run maybe 40-45 minutes, and we've reserved a portion of time at the end of the webcast to answer your questions. What we can't get to, we'll try and respond via email or phone afterwards as well. We will provide you a link to the recording probably tomorrow, and you'll be able to share this with your colleagues if they weren't able to attend, or to watch any part of it yourself again in review. So a quick overview of where we're going today. We'll start out, as always, as we do, with a quick update review. We covered a lot of ground in 2017. A lot of things came out. I think it's always great to put this in context and look at a few of the important updates that came out. Then we'll talk about two different use cases around providing a deeper integration with EMS for Outlook, some great things there, and talk about our new G Suite integration for business and the Google Calendar integration. We'll finish up with talking about a few additional updates that may be important to you, and as always, some upgrade considerations and a summary feeding into the Q&A portion. So as we've said a few times this year to you already, you may recognize this. We really have three areas of focus, three themes that we look to as we're developing and updating EMS. The first really has been, and a big one in 2017, has been our architecture. We've introduced the EMS platform services, a middle tier layer, and RESTful API that really underlies a lot of the amazing development that we've done this year. And that development realizes itself in improved user interfaces, increased number of integrations, easier integrations, all of those things, and they're all connected. So what you'll see in this release, what we've seen in the past two major releases, really is a focus on these three areas. Now each of these three major releases we've done this year have introduced a number of important updates. What you can't see on this chart is that we actually had a total of 14 updates in 2017. Many of them small fixes or tiny enhancements, but we did have the three larger releases, and we're going to talk about a few of those. One of the things we've really been focused on and attempted to do is to become a continuous release company. And this year, I think, is great evidence that we've reached that goal, and we're going to continue to do that well into 2018 and beyond. So Thomas, let's walk through a few of the important portions that came out in the spring release.
Sure. So our spring release, which was released in June of this year, was really focused on enabling self-service video conference workflows. So the first part of that was a new module called Exchange Room Integration. We've always had an integration with Exchange, or for many, many years, I shouldn't say always, had an integration with Exchange with people availability. What we added, because so many third-party providers of video conference and other systems integrate directly with Exchange, we've added the ability to actually integrate EMS spaces with Exchange resource mailboxes. So the way that it would work is, on my EMS side, I might have a conference room and I might have a Polycom device or a Cisco device in that room. I configure that room to actually point to the resource mailbox for those technology resource mailboxes in Exchange. So when an end user working in EMS books through any of our access points, mainly web app and mobile app, they can book the space. They don't have to think about the equipment. When they walk into the room, because of this integration bridge to those systems, the end user can simply press a one button to join video conference. So that's the first of our self-service video conferencing in spring. The second was our integration with Skype for Business. We heard about this from a lot of customers. It generally is not necessarily enterprise-wide implementations of Skype for Business, but even small groups within larger organizations are using Skype for Business. And we were the first to market with this feature. So we, aside from configuration, the beauty of it is users in our web app or mobile app simply have to toggle on whether to add Skype or not. The reality is, in today's workplace, almost every meeting is a hybrid meeting with present and remote employees joining the meeting. So we can't assume that everyone is going to be in the same room at the same time. We do so at EMS as well. We always have a Skype meeting because we have users who work remotely around the country. So you can never assume that the meeting is not a hybrid meeting. So again, simply clicking that toggle as indicated on the slide, add Skype to your reservation. We'll add that directly into the EMS reservation. Also from the mobile app, if there's a Skype meeting in one of their meetings, they can simply click to join directly from the EMS mobile app. The other thing we did in the spring release was a user experience focus, which was an update to our room sign app. We've made it a lot easier to customize room signs, whether it's on an area level, a building level, a floor level, or even a view level in EMS, or even a room level. The customization of the background and logo can be done simply on the profile in the configuration of the room sign app. So you can create a global profile and create profiles based on that, and simply change background or logo to have a sort of modern looking interface. The other thing with the room app is that we really worked on making sure that vertical room signs worked as well. A lot of customers want simply a room display or a room card to show the schedule for a particular room, almost like an event board outside of space. And along with the configuration in the room sign app, you can make this a simply display-only view of what's going on in a particular space. Larry?
Yeah. In the fall, the first major piece that we released was the update for EMS for our Microsoft Outlook add-in. We updated the interface and the architecture to allow more easily booking of spaces and services. And this really was a complete overhaul. If you recall, if you attended the fall webcast, we included now there's a native look and feel for Outlook. There's simplified workflows. There's an enhanced schedule view and attendee management. We added service enhancements, big request we've had, as well as support for visitor management. So quite a lot was done within the Outlook add-in. We also did a complete full redesign of the EMS Kiosk app to support the on-the-spot booking. We actually have one of these in our lobby as you walk in, and we do hoteling here at EMS, and we use this all the time. And the advantages of this new update include a more prominent, visually appealing display, as you can see here. There are a lot more configurations and views, and it is easier just like with the, as Thomas was saying with the room sign, it's much easier to customize for your brand.
As with all of our releases, an iterative release of platform services has happened throughout 2017 and will continue into 2018 and beyond. So our initial foray into this, our initial release was at the end of February, and the goal of that was to actually move our mobile app, the EMS mobile app, to utilize platform services entirely. So platform services, I know a lot of people have some questions about that, is part of EMS. And what its real goal in the architecture story is to provide a true middle tier into EMS. And our goal internally is that all EMS access points will eventually utilize platform services only to communicate with the service. and the database. So the mobile app was the initial release and early last year, which allows customers to develop their own custom mobile app and utilize EMS as well, or and their own custom web app as well to use that. So since then, we've been working with third parties to make sure that the appropriate APIs are in place. We take that further. Our Outlook release in the fall is actually utilizing platform services, as is the newly designed Kiosk. Both of those are actually going entirely through platform services to communicate with EMS. Since then, we're up to over 300, actually close to 400 is probably more likely, APIs available now. So we're working with a lot of third parties and internally working to update our access points so that they all access the database through platform services. Should I answer?
Okay. We're proud to be the leading enterprise class room and resource scheduling platform. It's something we've been saying for a while. You can see from this chart in particular, this diagram, it shows the wide variety of use cases we support. And I always like showing this diagram because when we say, well, what does the winter release affect? It really has a great impact on a good portion of the use cases, as well as the access points and a few of the system integrations that we talk about. I think what's most exciting about the winter release is that we're the first platform to support customers' chosen calendar platform. And that can be Exchange, or now it can be G Suite. So we now have you covered with our calendar integrations. Your organization can choose and feel comfortable knowing that EMS integrates with them. And we'll be talking about that. We'll be discussing that in the next section of our webinar. But first, I do want to run a poll, a quick poll here, on just to understand you as attendees, what is your current calendaring platform? So I'm going to launch the poll here, and if you can, select the response for your calendaring. All right, we're resolving here. I'll give it another half a minute. I'm really glad to see that nobody's writing in their day planners because you've got EMS. All right, I think that's pretty good. What I'm seeing here is about 86% are using Microsoft Exchange Outlook, but we have 6%, actually maybe 13 or so percent are either using both Exchange and Outlook or G Suite. So dominantly around Microsoft Exchange, and then some of you should be very excited about G Suite. I'm going to end the polling now, and I'm going to get back to the presentation here because, and it's great to see about the Exchange and the Outlook preference because our first use case is for EMS for Microsoft Outlook. Following the fall release, and with new features that we added in 19.1, which is really essentially the same as the winter release, this really is our best version yet of this add-in. It has more features, it has more functions, it's better tested than any comparable add-in, and certainly any version we have had of this to date. So to learn more, I'm going to turn to Matt James, our product manager, to take us forward and talk about both what's new and what's important to know about EMS for Microsoft Outlook. Matt.
Thank you, Larry. So for those of you that aren't familiar, EMS for Outlook is an add-in that users can use to book rooms, resources, and attendees within EMS, but doing so through a familiar interface within Microsoft Outlook, really combining all the advantages of EMS with that familiar Outlook experience. So users spend a lot of time in Outlook anyway. It's one of the key value propositions here is that we reduce the need for context switching, so users aren't having to jump out of Outlook to go book their catering, to go book a room, to add attendees to their reservation, things like that. So the more we can keep them in that familiar interface, the more we can increase productivity, have happy users, happy managers, etc. It is very customizable. We'll talk about that a little bit more shortly. So you could definitely just book your rooms in Outlook or in Exchange, we could say. But EMS for Outlook really gives you a lot of benefits beyond what native Exchange has to offer. Two of the main things are, of course, EMS's rich suite of booking rules that you can apply. So number of bookings per day, bookings within a date range, start and end dates for that date range, things like that. In addition, we also offer a robust set of filters. So I want a room on the 6th floor that has a service hub, perhaps. I can apply those types of filters and find the space that best meets my needs for a particular meeting or event. And again, really just trying to have the one-stop shop experience. So in the fall release with Update 17, for example, we added the ability for users to add and manage attendees from within the add-in itself. So streamlining and walking them through the reservation process as much as possible. And of course, all that data is captured in EMS in your system of record so that you can get your utilization and statistical reports for both your meeting rooms and workspaces. So that's what we've done so far. With the winter release, there are two main things that we did in addition to bug fixes and normal work. The first is that with this release, we added the web deploy option for EMS for Outlook. This has been a highly requested feature for years, even before we released the new version. So it eases the pain of distributing the add-in, and then it aids in future updates as well when new versions become available. So similar to the EMS desktop client web deploy, we now have this for Outlook, and it is greatly improved both from the IT side and from the user experience side. This is just an example of what the web deploy website would look like for EMS for Outlook. So the idea would be your server admin could install the web deploy service out on your application server. Someone would then send the URL to the users. Users would then click the link. It's going to download one file, no additional files that might get blocked by pop-ups and things like that. For 32-bit or 64-bit, the user does not have to be an administrator because it's installed locally in the roaming directory and with those registry keys. Once they run the installer, it's actually going to automatically pull in the web deploy URL as well as the platform services URL that EMS for Outlook needs to talk to the database. So the main thing here is that we're trying to make it as foolproof as possible. We're not relying on any manual input by the user where they can make a typo, copy and paste the wrong thing, etc. And they don't need administrative privileges. And then going forward, new versions become available. When you decide to deploy it to your organization, server admin would just update the installation on the server. The user machines would detect a new version and pull it down and automatically upgrade and tell the user they need to restart once that's complete. We're not going to force them to restart, so if you're in the middle of an email or something, we're not going to disrupt that, but at the next opportunity, we will ask them to restart. The next major thing that we did with this release is we added the ability for users to set user defaults within the add-in itself. These user defaults will be saved in the database and be applicable in the web app or mobile app if the template being used is available in those interfaces as well. So previously, we did honor template personalization settings as set in the web app. We did honor those within Outlook, but a user could not add or modify those settings. So now we're enabling that ability within the add-in itself. So just real briefly, I'm going to show you what the user defaults process looks like, and then go over a brief demo just as a refresher for folks that don't remember or maybe haven't seen the new EMS route look like. So, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So, let's start by creating a new meeting. Invite Larry. And go to my edit. Here in the top right corner, you see there's now a user defaults settings area. So when I click on that, this is where a user could set favorite buildings, views or areas, floors, room or location types. This database, we've renamed it to location, as well as default event name, event type, setup type if you are using that, and then also the option to default the show attendees and schedule view within the add-in itself. So that last one's just specific to Outlook, but the other settings would be available in the other endpoints as well. Favorite rooms, of course, are as they were since the fall release. Users can add or remove favorites just by clicking on the hearts here. When I go to my schedule view, you'll see Larry shows up here because I previously added him. However, I can also add Thomas to our meeting and even change him to optional if we need to. One of the things we did with this release is as a user picks a room, they will be prompted for any additional required fields so that we don't have to then warn them upon save and close. So we're trying to guide them through the reservation process, make it as easy as possible. This is the new visitor management piece. So your users can add their information here for people who would be coming to their meeting. So for those of you that may be using the Advanced Visitor Management module within EMS or EMS Workplace, this would then allow this attendee or visitor information to be stored in EMS and be accessed by your reception or security teams to print badges, check-in visitors, notify organizers of those check-ins, etc. And of course, we can still book catering, AV resources, etc. here. And then I'm just going to do one more workflow briefly. So in this case, I've come in here to my add-in, and perhaps I really want the 1400 boardroom, but it's only available for 2 out of 3 of the dates. Or maybe no room is available for all my dates. I can pick the room, even if it's not available for all dates, and then I get prompted to select an additional room to resolve my conflict. And with that, well, great. Turn it back over to you, Larry.
All right. Thanks. I see a number of questions coming in already, but let's we'll hold off till the end because we have a few more demos to show. So I will take the screen back. Great. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Now let's discuss a new add-in feature to EMS, our G Suite integration. If you attended EMS Live this year, you would have heard our VP of Product, Akshay Mahajan, during his product keynote. He promised that we would deliver a multi-step integration of Google Calendar and G Suite. Well, in the winter release, we've delivered on that promise. So here to tell us more about it and to show us what this actually looks like is Harleen Stevenson. Harleen.
Great, thank you, Larry, and welcome everybody. So it's my pleasure to discuss our G Suite integration and how we are now able to support that customer choice in your calendaring platform. So first, starting off, what is G Suite integration? That is our product line of 3 components, both existing that we'll discuss today, and we'll give you a little preview into what's planned as well. But how are we in EMS and Google integrating? So we're starting with Google Calendar integration. So that is going from your already established EMS access points, using platform services to then send the meeting information, including the room booking, to the Google user calendar. So you'll be able to look at user availability in line with room availability from your EMS access points. That's what we have today. Now a little view into the future. So EMS for Google Calendar coming soon. With that, we will be allowing users from their user calendar to create an EMS booking. So adding the room to the meeting through their Google user calendar. So no longer requiring that they go to an EMS access point to include an EMS room in their booking. And then the third portion of the overall G Suite integration will be similar to our Exchange Room integration, where we'll include Google Room Calendar to invite third-party room integrations to those who are on the G Suite platform. Again, coming soon in a release shortly this year. So what we currently have is Google Calendar integration. That was available for version 44.1, update 20. That really begins our journey to support G Suite integration as a first of the licensed add-ons for customers who have chosen G Suite as their calendaring platform. So this provides a direct connection between G Suite and your end users' Google calendars. So as you can see from this screenshot, we have the attendees information availability, free and busy, listed in line with room availability. So giving that quick view into making sure that you can meet where and with whom you want to. So why choose Google Calendar integration? If G Suite is your dedicated calendaring solution, EMS now supports that, your choice in being able to send your EMS bookings to your Google Calendar so that you can see your full day schedule, including what room you will be meeting in throughout the day. The EMS users can easily select that right space at the right time and include the right people, all from the convenience of the interface that you already know. We'll send out invitations for any changes that are made through the EMS access point. Your Google Calendar for both host and attendee will remain in sync with those changes, with no additional effort on your part. You make the change in EMS, and the invitation will be updated on your Google Calendar. And of course, all bookings can be viewed across all of the G Suite access points. So whether you're on your laptop, whether you're on your phone, we are sending that information to all of the available Google interfaces. So what are the features for this integration? Again, coming back to that direct connection with Google Calendars for EMS users. With no additional effort on the user's behalf, both hosts and attendees will be notified through their Google Calendar of their full schedule, including any booking created in EMS. And really that convenience of viewing the attendee availability alongside the space availability. Again, getting the right people at the right time at the right space. All of the bookings are automatically added to the host Google Calendar and also sent to the attendees' calendars as well. Attendees will also receive an email notifying them of the meeting that they have been invited to. And all of this, we provide that meeting information from EMS to your Google Calendar as updates are made. So again, keeping that information in sync so you know where you should be at what time and with whom. So where can this new Google Calendar integration be accessed from within EMS? And what exactly is that functionality that's available? So for both EMS web app and EMS mobile app, you can view your attendee availability, create the reservation, edit a reservation, manage your attendees, and cancel the reservation. And all of that will be kept in sync with both host and attendees' Google Calendars. From EMS Desktop Client, you can edit an existing reservation that was created in web app or mobile app, and you can also cancel that reservation. So really, the goal of this integration was to provide parity between our existing Exchange integration and bring that forward to Google integration. So if you currently are familiar with our Exchange integration, you'll notice the similarity between what is available between the two. And we did that as a deliberate choice to assist in any change management that an organization may go through if they are making a change from Exchange to G Suite as a calendaring platform. So what are the use cases? When would I want to use Google Calendar integration? Again, from web app, we can check availability for users and spaces, and then send those invitations and add the meeting to Google user calendars. And for mobile app, of course, whenever you're on the go, you want to be able to do the same and quickly book a meeting with both your attendees and grab the room so that you know you have a space to meet. So this is all great, but let's jump in and actually see the integration in action. We'll start with me taking control and showing the demo. Okay, great. So as you can see, this is an endpoint I'm sure you're all very familiar with, the EMS web app. I'm going to create a reservation and book a meeting. As you can see, since I'm the host, my attendee information has already been pre-populated in the attendee section. In the availability legend, We have both free and busy that display. You can tell on my Google Calendar I am available all day today, but I want to book a meeting with Thomas and Matt James. And I know we need to meet tomorrow to discuss some important information about G Suite integration. So as you can see, when I change the day, now my free busy information has updated. I'm going to go ahead and close the legend. And let me add Thomas and Matt as attendees for this meeting. I originally thought it'd be great if we would meet from 2 to 3. However, it looks as though not everyone is available at that time. So I'm going to change my meeting time to 4 to 5. And now let me pull in some rooms and see where we can meet. It looks as though Lyman is available. So I'm going to go ahead and add that room to my reservation. So as you can see, we are all available at that time, and we have that room, which is also available as well. Let me go ahead and complete the reservation. So let's meet to discuss calendar integration, testing, and training. Just going to go ahead and complete some additional information. And create the reservation. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. As from an end user, if I was previously familiar with adding attendees through Exchange, it is no different from their perspective. It just now will go to my Google Calendar. And let me show you my personal Google Calendar. And I'm just going to refresh my calendar. And as you can see, the meeting that I just created, product team meeting in Lyman Conference Room, is displaying on my Google Calendar. I'll now open up that meeting. And you can also see that Matt James and Thomas Allen have been included as guests. And we're still waiting to hear whether they're going to be able to join or not. My notification was set at 10 minutes. That information transferred to Google as well. I, as the host, this is my information, and the body of the text, let's meet to discuss Google Calendar integration, testing, and training, was also sent directly to my Google Calendar. Now, I did invite both Matt and Thomas to this meeting, so as attendees, I'd like to show you that this also populated on their Google Calendar as well. And for that, we're going to take a look at Thomas Allen's Google Calendar on his mobile device.
Give me just a moment. So you see I have a notification here from my Gmail, and it is indeed from Harleen.
It is from me.
So if I see it's the product team meeting in Lyman, I will accept. I can also look at my Google Calendar app and see that it is on my Google Calendar app. And then if I wanted to set something up from the mobile device, I will book a meeting. For tomorrow. Let's try that again. That's fine. So if I want a meeting with Harleen, I simply select her and create the reservation.
And now I have received a notification and the invitation is on my Google Calendar. And as you can see, the meeting that Thomas just created, Discuss QM Plan, is now displaying directly on my Google Calendar.
And I need all day long.
So with that, that is our Google Calendar integration. Back to you, Larry.
Great. Thank you both. That was great. All right, let's get back. We have all right. Let's talk about a few other additions to this winter release. Thomas, a quick overview of a few of the other pieces that I think people would be interested to know will affect them when they upgrade to update 20.
Sure. So we've done enhancements literally across nearly every single product in the EMS platform of this release. Just a quick thing in the desktop client, we have made an enhancement to the conflicts tab in Wizards and the Wizards. So previously, if there was a conflict in a series or recurrence, and you went into the conflicts tab, it would show all bookings for that space all day long. So what we've done is just simply filtered that automatically for you. So what you're going to see by default when you go into conflicts are the conflicts in that room. So you can find it easily, resolve it quickly. We've also changed the time picker fields, the time entry fields, so that military or other meetings could be entered directly from the keyboard. So for example, if I'm setting something up and I need to go at 10:30, I can simply type tab to the time entry field, type 10:1030, and that will enter 10:30 automatically. So for those power users out there in the desktop client, it sounds maybe simple, but for those power users, they're going to love it because they want that all the time. For room signs, we added the ability to apply a secondary authentication type. So some of our customers are using badge or RFID reader to authenticate to the room sign. And if that user forgot their badge or didn't have it for some reason, we provided the ability to authenticate in a secondary manner through the room sign. With Kiosk, we added some language translation enhancements. This is the new Kiosk 2.0 that we showed earlier. We also added auto update functionality. So now if you have an update across the kiosk, you make a change to the profile, that automatically gets pushed to the kiosk wherever it may be located. So you could be managing all kiosks for an organization. That kiosk may be in Chicago, but if I make the change here in Denver, it's going to push directly to that kiosk wherever it's located. And we've made some overall performance improvements, some user experience improvements as well. And of course, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, platform services is a given in every one of our releases. We're constantly adding additional APIs, and from our internal work and with our work with third party or our partners, external partners, we're adding additional APIs all the time. So that's about it.
Thanks, Thomas. Let's finish up this discussion portion with just talking, as we always do, about upgrade considerations. So this release, we do call it Winter 2017 release because it came out before the end of the year. If you're a primary contact, you would have received an email that linked over to our doc section and our new customer support portal, telling you about that. Given the end of the year, we decided to hold off a bit before we did a big push out on our website and all, but it has been available for a few weeks already. We also have moved this over to the sandboxes, that is the test environments of our cloud services for EMS customers. So it is out there and ready to be played with. The Google Calendar integration, I think it's important to note, both this phase 1 as well as the next 2 phases, these are separately purchased components. So these are not something that when you update 20 you will automatically get. It's something you need to call in, talk to your account manager, and we'll begin the process around getting you up and running on Google Calendar integration. Certainly, any of these, as always, any of these great new pieces and parts and enhancements are only available when you upgrade to the winter release. That's update 20. Upgrades are included with current maintenance and subscription. And we have, since the 22nd, we've had all the details that Thomas and Matt and Harleen delved into have been available on our documentation website. If you are interested in upgrading to this sooner or later, it always, as we recommend, requires you to plan and test carefully. And to assist you, as always, we have a series of standard packages from our professional services team. Package 1 is it's a basic package around helping you to validate that things are running, including making sure that you have the right documentation and use cases. So that is package 1. Package 2 includes everything in that one, as well as some additional training, some additional review sessions, a little bit more hand-holding, as we say. And finally, if what you require is beyond either of those two, we're always glad. Our professional services team, you've worked with them before, you know that they are on top of this and can help you in almost any way you can think of. That would be the package 3 where we would customize that for you. So if you have questions, you're interested in some of these features, you'd like a further demo, anything that comes up around this, we encourage you to contact your account manager. If you don't know who your account manager is, that's not a problem. We have a contact us form on our website. You just say account manager is the type of question. Put in something like, I am so excited about G Suite integration, want to learn more. That will go directly to our account managers, and they will follow up shortly. With that, we've reached the end of the organized portion of the webcast. We have a few minutes, I think, to answer your questions. I saw some coming in both in the Q&A box as well as some of them in the chat box. So I'm going to turn it over to Thomas, who's been looking at some of the questions, and let's see what's come across.
There is one that was, I wanted to call out that I actually neglected to mention earlier about regarding EMS room sign. There was a question about changing the font size for EMS room sign for accessibility reasons. Yes, absolutely. And I neglected to mention that. So the part of the EMS room sign, the customization of those signs can be done entirely through CSS What I would point out about that would be the CSS is actually on the server level, so it is not through the profile. So it's not, you can't do a custom CSS on the profile level yet, I would say, but currently you can actually absolutely change all aspects of the interface. In fact, we've done this, and we showed some of this at EMS Live, customizing specifically for specific devices, but that can be taken to fonts to any level that you can customize with the CSS. Did you have a question, Matt, that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so we have a question here in the chat from Tamara Johnson. She's asking if my IT department hasn't updated with other versions, do we need to do each one separately? The brief answer on that is if you're already on 44.1, even if you're still on update 5 or one of the earlier updates, you can update to this version without having to do every one in between. However, if you are on an older version of EMS, say EMS 42, or even before, that would be like Enterprise 5, 4, 6, etc. Would recommend working with a professional services consultant, or at least contacting your account manager of the support team to look into that. But if you're on one of the newer 43, 44, 44.1, you can upgrade to this version without going through every step along the way.
I should also add, if you're a pro user, that we do have some pro upgrade packages that your account manager would be glad to talk to you about as well, to get you going on that versus enterprise. Another question, Thomas?
Sure. There was another question regarding room sign that was about having multiple global templates. The answer is currently no, but we do want to improve the management of profiles for room sign in the future to make it easier. And the idea of the global template is you set up everything that is consistent, and then you create profiles and just modify what is changed. But we can improve some of that user experience for sure and how that's done, and make it easier to simply duplicate a profile, change one setting. So for example, if all I want to do is change the background image, I can set up my global profile, create a new or duplicate a profile exactly with all the rules and settings that I want, duplicate that profile, and change simply the background image that is being used by that profile. So we are going to make that management better in the future. I don't have a date regarding that, however. Let's see. We had a lot of questions. A couple of questions regarding WebEx. Yes, absolutely, it is on the roadmap. I also don't have a date for that, however. The complicated part there is I've had a lot of conversations with different customers, and each one of them seems to interpret integration with WebEx in a different manner. We have a couple of customers who use personal meeting rooms and integrate that with EMS today. That is more of a manual user interface issue. But yes, absolutely, we understand that WebEx holds a very prominent place still statistically in the market. And what we've discussed internally is a similar approach that we took with Skype with WebEx to integrate directly there. I just don't have a timeline for that currently. Let's see, I'm scrolling through the questions. There was a question about EMS for Outlook. Will it email attendees as well as record acceptance? We don't do that in EMS. Matt James answered this. Outlook, of course, will send out meeting invites as it normally does. We don't do anything in the process that Exchange normally does for users in Outlook. So all of those processes still work the same. The same is true for Google, by the way, for G Suite. Yeah.
So we got a question here from Carrie. She says, my IT team has built an API to link EMS with our HVAC system so that booking a room turns on the heat air. When we upgrade to the latest version, is there a recommendation for using our test environment to verify a smooth transition? So 100% yes, highly recommend always deploying an update to a test environment first, particularly if you have custom integrations. If that integration is using the old EMS SOAP API, you can still use that integration with the newer version, so you shouldn't see any disruption to that. Would encourage you to look at platform services, of course, but we're definitely not taking away the old API in this version by any means. So that would still work, but definitely recommend doing it in the test environment first. I can talk to it. Robert also had a question early on that I answered for those that didn't see it. He had asked if the user defaults we had talked about for Outlook could be provisioned via HR Toolkit. The short answer is yes. It's data in the database, so there's nothing to prevent us from doing that. Typically, the issue with the scenario is finding the source data for that. We did work with one customer in the past where we took their home office location and used that to default, like a building and a floor, for example, within their templates. But it would just depend on the specifics of your workforce and what data you have to work with.
I have one more, a question from Jason, who asked for G Suite integration reservations. Is there a way to access the attendees via any APIs that we provide to integrate with third-party systems like card readers? The answer is yes. G Suite integration is built on platform services. So those APIs are available in platform services today, and we utilize them for the entire G Suite Google Calendar integration to date, and for all phases of G Suite integration, we'll use platform services.
And final note on that again, I think Thomas did a great job earlier on saying that when you upgrade, you get platform services because these components operate on that. If you're looking to do an external integration or an additional one to your own, let's say one of your own custom apps or something else, then that's actually an additional license for EMS platform services and a great discussion point to bring up with your account manager. All right, so I know we have a few more questions. We'll work to answer those personally following the webcast. Thank you so much for those questions and for everyone's attendance. I just want to thank our team here, thank Harleen and Matt and Thomas for their assistance today, and thanks to all of you for your interest and attendance. As I mentioned earlier, look for more information from us in the next week around a lot of the details about this. This is sort of a pre-marketing release look-see and demo, so we're so glad you could join us. With that, thank you. Have an excellent day.